psychology of the child who was only loved for their results, the psychology of the productive child, why good kids burn out as adults, the hidden trauma of being too responsible. If you have ever felt guilty for resting, if you panic when things are calm, if love feels like a performance review, this is your origin story. What happens when a child becomes the family's operating system? This is the hidden architecture of parentification, inner child fracture, and shadow survival. The forensic autopsy of the high-functioning wounded child. This is a psychological autopsy. We are examining the death of a childhood that ended too soon. The primary symptom isn't sadness, it is efficiency. You're 7 winters in. You're standing in a kitchen where the emotional temperature is dropping fast. Maybe it is rage. Maybe it is the white noise of apathy. And right there, your survival protocol engages. You realize, if I do not manage this ecosystem, we will all collapse. So the child goes into the blueprint. You become a schematic, a tiny architect, drafting plans to stabilize a collapsing structure. The world mistook your paralysis for poise. Teachers applauded your maturity, never asking if it was prosthetic. Look how responsible, they said. But here is the forensic truth. A child who acts like an employee in their own home is not good. They're terrified. They're working for their right to exist. They're not being loved. They're being paid in tolerance. The psychology of people who are always calm. Why you're calm is a crime scene. Now we must look at the psychology of people who are always calm. To the outside world, you look peaceful. But in our forensic audit, we see that this calm is actually a survival override. Why does a child become a project manager? It is not personality. It is a safety override. When the adults are unpredictable, the child must become the constant. You learn to predict the weather before stepping outside your bedroom. You learn to optimize your behavior for safety. If you were quiet, you were safe. If you were helpful, you were seen. If you were needy, you were a target. So you deleted play.exe and installed survival.os. This is why you feel a spike of cortisol when you sit on the couch today. Your nervous system filed a false report. Rest is equal to danger. To the productive child, stillness feels like a trap door. You're waiting for the inevitable rupture. We call this scanning. You constantly audit the room for threats. You track micro expressions like a bomb disposal unit. This maturity was never a trait, a whole cut in your development so you could breathe in a toxic atmosphere. The battery that never recharges, the burnout that starts in childhood. Let's talk about the batteries, not the ones in your phone, the one inside you. When you are a little kid, you're supposed to be plugged in, charging up. Your home is the charger. But what if the charger is broken? What if it's not giving power? It's taking power. The good child doesn't complain. They become the battery for the whole house. They give their energy to a parent who's sad. They give their focus to a parent who's angry. They give their silence to keep the noise down. And no one ever plugs them in. So what happens to a battery that only gives and never gets? It learns a new rule. My power is not for me. My power is for them. You walk around on 1% of your whole life, but you're still lighting up rooms for other people. You feel proud that you can last so long. But here's the secret every kid knows and every adult forgets. A battery that doesn't charge eventually becomes a brick. It looks the same from outside, but nothing works inside. That's why you feel heavy when you should feel light. That's why rest feels wrong. Because you were built in a factory where batteries aren't allowed to stop. But listen to me. You're not a battery. You're a person. And people don't have a charge percentage. People have hearts. And hearts aren't meant to power other people's darkness. They're meant to beat just for you. The psychology of the ignored child. There's a clinical term for this theft, parentification. It is when the organizational chart of the family inverts. The child becomes the consultant. The child becomes the referee. The child becomes the emotional spouse. This is not chores. This is emotional incest. It manufactures a specific model of adult. You become the project manager of everyone's emotions. You attract partners who are projects, not peers. You find people who are broken because fixing them is your comfort zone. Why do you do this? Because peace bores you, or worse, peace terrifies you. You poke the chaos just to feel a familiar pulse. This is the tragedy of parentification. It trains you to equate intimacy with labor. It teaches you that you are only lovable when you are useful. But listen to Veerji. Love is not a job application. You should not have to submit a resume to be held. The psychology of people who are deep thinkers. Your intelligence is a trauma archive. This leads us to the psychology of people who are deep thinkers. You think your constant analysis is a gift of intellect, but often it is the brain's way of predicting danger before it strikes. Here's the pattern I see in the forensic data. The correlation between trauma and high intelligence. Many of you are exceptionally sharp. You're strategic. You are hyper aware. You think this is a gift. Look closer. Trauma accelerates pattern recognition. When you live in a minefield, you must become a master of geography. You must predict the explosion before the trigger is pulled. So your brain developed rapid processing speeds. You became a grandmaster of chess at age 10. You call it intelligence. You call it hypervigilance disguised as IQ. You overthink because you had to overpredict. You analyze tones because a tone shift meant danger. Your brilliance was forged in a furnace, but the furnace is cold now, and you are still swearing. You're still solving problems that do not exist. It is exhausting being this smart, isn't it? Psychology of people who have gone through too much. The exhaustion of being everyone's emergency exit. And so we arrive at the museum. Hyper independence. You say, I don't need anyone. You say, it's faster if I do it. You boast about your autonomy. That is not strength. That is a scar tissue. Hyper independence is the refusal to be vulnerable. Because the last time you were small, no one caught you. The last time you had a need, it was treated as a burden. So you signed a vow. I'll never give anyone the power to stop me again. You built a museum and you are the only exhibit. Silent, impressive, and slowly turning to dust. You are the person everyone calls, but you call no one. You are the strongest person in the room and you are crumbling. This is the lie of the survivor. You think you are protecting yourself, but really you are isolating yourself. Dependency is not weakness, it is gravity. But you have forgotten how to land. Heal your inner child. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the parts of us we hid to stay on the payroll. For you, the shadow is your needs. Your shadow is the child who wanted to be messy, not efficient. Healing is not a hug. It is a hostile takeover. Your adult consciousness must storm the boardroom of your psyche. You must fire the child CEO. You must stand in front of that 7-year-old architect. Do not tell them to be brave. They have been brave for 30 years. Tell them the truth. Say this. You managed the crisis perfectly. Say this, but the contract is expired. Say this, I am the director now. Clock out. You must relieve them of their shift. This is reparenting. It is the act of installing new software on an old machine. It will feel inefficient. It will feel dangerous. Do it anyway. The brain rewires through safety, not speed. The psychology of people who are tired of existing. We end here with the decommissioning of the machine. You're tired. I know you're tired. It is fatigue that sleep cannot fix. It is the exhaustion of a system that has been running at maximum capacity for 30 years without a reboot. You have a choice today. You can continue to be the infrastructure, or you can power down. You can let the lights flicker. Let them be disappointed. That disappointment is not a system failure. It is just the era. Set the boundary. Say no without filing an appeal. Let the silence sit in the room without trying to fix it. If you grew up too fast, you miss your turn to be inefficient. Take that turn now. Be messy. Be unproductive. Your worth was never in your output. It was in your existence. You have survived the mission. Now learn how to live in the peacetime. I am Veerji. You are seen.